Hello, ladies and gentlemen from around the world. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Global Talkative Series. This is a global platform to hang out, collaborate, and inspire one another. And we've been blessed to have amazing and wonderful, guests on this show coming to share their word of experience, with our global audience. And today is not an exception. We have an amazing guest in the house, a brother and a friend. He was on this show a couple of weeks ago, and then everybody wants him to be, they want him back. That's, this nuggets of information are amazing, and we need to hear more and learn more. And before introducing our guest, I want to bring our guest in on Instagram. We are reaching you from our Global Talkative Series studio in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and we are, you know, reaching you from Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram all at the same time. So I'm going to invite in our guest today. Oh, I can see him. Right. Okay. We have our guest in. I just want to work on the volume. All right. Okay. The Global Talkative series here with our guest, and I'm going to read a short profile about our guest before going in today's topic properly. It's a friend and it's a brother and it's an amazing person. Dr. Samuel Iwa is a relationship coach, medical doctor, and humanist who is passionate about helping people cultivate healthy relationships, starting from the one with themselves. After practicing medicine for a couple of years, Dr. Sam realized that too many of his patients and many in the world today were succeeding at almost everything except relationships. So he decided to become an active part of the conversation in changing that narrative. He left the practice of medicine and is currently doing a master's degree in counseling psychology to become a relationship and marriage therapist. And that takes me to the topic of today's discussion: demystifying the taboo around family and marital counseling, coaching, and therapy. And our guest today is no other person but Dr. Samuel Owa, certified life coach and relationship coach. How are you today?
Fine, thank you.
You're smiling. That's who you are.
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're grateful to have you on this show. Anu Dare, Chinyere, Timon
Anu
from Nigeria.
Adedire. Anu is in Edmonton.
Anu Adedire from Edmonton. Thank you for joining. Pastor Timon from Nigeria. Thank you for joining. And we have audiences from around the world who will still be joining. And today's topic is very, very important, especially within the African community or Caribbean context. Demystifying the taboo around family and marital counseling, coaching, and therapy. Now, before we go into that, you are a certified life coach, relationship coach, counselor, all of that. Tell our audience what you do first.
Okay. Thank you for the question. I think when I started out with this, I started out because I was inspired by the relationships that I would come across, and these were mostly marriages, from the patients that I used to come across. And so for me, it was the relationship that we have with one another. But I think as I've gotten to learn more and I've gotten to have more experience, which is one of the things that I decided to write in the bio, it's that I've realized that the relationship that the human being has with themselves is the most important one. So, to answer your question, what do? I essentially help people to be able to look inward and see themselves.
Mm,
Uh, an analogy for that would be to help you look in the mirror,
yeah.
to be able to see you, to be able to talk to you, to be able to know how you feel, to be able to make sense of your thoughts, to be able to make sense of your behaviors, to be able to make sense of the way that your body, reacts. Say for example, you're having palpitations in a particular situation. You have no idea why.
mm,
You're sweating in a particular situation. You have no idea. What I essentially do for people is to help them understand themselves. So provide a safe space where you can pay more attention to you, have a healthy relationship with yourself, because you are the common factor in the environment.
mm,
Whatever is happening to you is happening to you. You're the most important thing. So once you begin to have that healthy relationship with yourself, then you begin to see the results or the effects in other areas of your life, and that includes work. That includes your marriage, that includes your, if you're a father, you're a mom, you're a sister, you're a brother, or mother-in-law, father-in-law. When you
mm.
change, all those roles essentially change because of who you are. So that's
That
what
is
I do.
amazing. That means, first of all, the change starts from the person first
Yes,
before others. And like you said, you help people to look themselves in the mirror. Now,
yes,
when you help them to look themselves in the mirror, they actually see themselves. Oh, this is who I
that's right.
am. Thank you
Yes.
very much. Now, going to today's topic, the first question I have for you is, what is the difference between a marriage counselor and a therapist?
Mm. Okay. So I think the difference between that would just be like saying what's the difference between a doctor and a surgeon.
Mm,
Okay. So marriage counselor is essentially a therapist who has decided to say, I want to focus on seeing couples. So this person has decided to dive deep into that to understand it more, and to say maybe this is my area of interest. This is the area that I am passionate uh, about working in. I think the other thing to also take note of is that I'm hesitating to say this because I just wanted to say that a lot of people look for advice in different places. I've seen
mm,
people call themselves counselors. I don't call myself a counselor because right now, as per Alberta standards, I need to finish school and be
yeah.
registered with the Alberta College of Counselors.
Wow.
I have seen a lot of people say I'm a counselor and they have no qualifications. So I
Mm,
want to specify that when I am saying this, I actually mean people who, like talk to a counselor is here. I just saw him log in. That's somebody who actually went to school, got his degree,
mm,
studied the psychology of the human mind, understand how things work. That's
yeah.
the person that can help you find yourself, not necessarily someone who's always giving you advice, which your pastor can do, which your friend
Hmm.
can do, which even your boss at work can do, your mentor can do. But this is almost like a different field. So yes, the answer to the question is that marriage counseling is a specialization of sorts. But I think that we also
Mm,
need to be careful about the people that we speak to when someone says I'm a marriage counselor.
mm. It's important so that you won't just go and be, you need, it's like there's this say in Nigeria that you're using stomach medicine for headache injury.
That is correct.
It's
Exactly.
matter of lives are like very important. We have to take it delicately. And as it were, you're saying that we need the right individual that can prescribe what you need for you.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Now, the topic is very important. And I want to ask from your perspective, why do we need to demystify taboo around family and marital counseling? Why do we need to do that?
The simple answer to that would be that we need to demystify it because everyone needs it.
Hmm,
And when I say everyone needs it, I obviously know how that sounds because I have heard a lot of people say, um, what does that person want to tell us that we've not heard already? Or
hmm,
what is it that they want to talk about that we don't know? Or
hmm,
everybody has their problems. So let's deal with ours on our own. And I think that
hmm,
a lot of people think that you only okay. So I'll give you an example to illustrate what I'm trying to say. I organized a mental health event in Calgary recently, and I was talking to my friend, and I said, "There's this mental health event that's coming up. You need to be there." And she looked at me and said, "Are you trying to say that I'm crazy?"
Wow.
And it wasn't a joke. Are you trying to say that I need this? That's essentially what she was saying. And it was a
Yeah.
very difficult question for me to answer because, yes, I'm saying that you need it, but I'm not saying that you are crazy because I don't think
Hmm.
that you're crazy. But it was a trick question because I had to sit down and, begin to explain that, look, mental health is like physical health.
Hmm.
Sometimes you don't know something is going on with you and something is going on with you. Sometimes you know something is going on with you, you can sense it, but you don't know exactly what it is. And sometimes you
Hmm.
have to go to the doctor to say, hey, this is what's happening with you. And so many people feel once you say mental health, people just go, that person must be crazy. And I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
The only people that need mental health support are the people that are in the mental institutions or the people that are just from what our definition of crazy is about. And so I think that is where the demystification
Hmm.
needs to focus on for people to understand that this is something that our mental health always needs improvement. It always needs tuning up. It
Hmm.
always needs it always needs support. So whatever level you're at, you still need that mental health support because you have a mental health.
Hmm.
That's the reason why we need to, demystify it because we all of us need it. And if I could break into that a little bit, who we are is as a result of the environments that we grow up in.
Hmm.
The environment that we grew up in taught us about who we should be. So, we talk about implicit learning, we talk about explicit learning. Explicit
Hmm.
learning means my mom told me stealing is bad, lying is bad. They told me
Yeah.
plain point blank. I know that I was told. What of implicit? Implicit is we go to church every Sunday. We eat rice on Sundays. Um, I would see my dad get angry when he didn't have his way. Maybe when my mom did something, or he said, do this, and she didn't do it. He didn't
Hmm.
necessarily tell me you have to be angry when people do this to you or when people do that to you. You know?
Yeah.
So you learn by observing what another person is doing. And when you think about the fact that children are like sponges, this child is growing up and this child is observing so many things. This child is getting information from everywhere, from teachers at school,
Yeah.
from uncles, from aunties, from mom, from dad, from big brother, from big sister. Those things are what define who you are. So
Hmm.
when we're talking about demystifying coaching or counseling or therapy, we're essentially saying who you are today is a function of so many things that you are not aware of.
Yeah.
And in the space of therapy, you can consciously make a decision to become who you are, not who
Hmm.
everybody around you made you to be. That's mental
Hmm.
health. I'll give you
Hmm.
an example. I had someone the other day, I say, my brother said he loved me, and I felt weird. Why did you feel
Hmm.
weird? Because he has never said it before. And that just felt strange. And I knew exactly what she was talking about. Because you see, even though he was saying, I love you, it felt strange because that's not the way she was raised. That's
Hmm.
that's not a pattern that has been there in her life. And that gave her like goosebumps. It's almost as if, somebody is saying I love you, but it's making you feel weird. Like
Yeah.
this is not
A
what I'm
crime.
used to. Yeah, it's a yes,
Problem.
you
Crime.
know. And the other day online, somebody was writing, she said she told her father, I love you, and the father said, congratulations. Why do you think he said that?
For what?
Because it was uncomfortable. So you see, the question is if the father sat down in a therapeutic space And you ask him, he probably felt really good when his daughter said that, but he just didn't know how to react. He's just like, wait,
Mm.
she loves, it's confusing. It's, you know, and in a therapeutic space, he gets to decide who he wants to be. I have another example. Someone said the other day that a child was rude to her. And I said, what did the child do? He said, she called me by my name. And it was funny because when I was having that conversation with her, we then realized that when white people call her by her name, she does not feel insulted. But when an African child calls her by her name, she feels insulted. Why is that? Because her pattern, her
Wow.
habit is that African black children don't call me by my name. So she was feeling disrespected, not necessarily, and we
Mm.
have to pay attention, not because the child was disrespectful, but because the child did something that, according to what she's used to, is disrespectful. So that made her,
Wow.
she went around her whole day. She was angry. And, by the time we talked, we got to the point where she said, so I was angry for my culture. It's my culture that felt disrespected, but me, I carry the disrespect on my head. So she was
Wow.
essentially feeling disrespected because generations before her have felt disrespected, not necessarily because that child actually disrespected her. So that's
Wow.
essentially what happens to many of us in our lives. We carry around all these things. So you see it in our relationship. Someone said something. What did they mean? You have all these interpretations. And it's like, okay, just hold on. This is your mental health we're talking about. That's all
Mm.
it is. For you to say, this is who I want to be. This is where I want to go. This is how I want to react in this particular situation or not. But yeah, that's why we need to demystify the whole thing.
Thank you very much. This is still the Global Talkative Series today with Dr. Samuel Uwa, certified life and relationship coach. And our topic today is something very, very important: demystifying the taboo around family and mental marital counseling, coaching, and therapy. And
Right.
this is very important for those who are joining us from around the world on Instagram, Facebook, on YouTube. Thank you very much. People have this preconceived notion that I'm going to see a therapist, or let's go and see a therapist. And like you said, the people have been they don't have this understanding of between someone who is crazy and someone who, or like the word mental and
Yeah,
crazy.
somebody said they don't understand the difference between mental illness and mental health. Somebody just wrote that. What's the person's name? Miss Kemilicious. Yeah, people when they hear mental, that you're right. It's like that word mental is like, and let's be honest. When we used to grow up, say that one don't mental.
Yeah,
That person, is a mental case.
we have a musician that wrote a song, Colomenta, and it became a hit song, Colomenta. I'm on a mental, Chris.
That's right. That's right.
So
That's right. Mental case, actually. I think it's mental case he was saying.
in the case.
Yeah. So that's it. Yeah.
So
That's
what
it.
are the what is the preconceived notion our people have against seeing a therapist?
I think we've mentioned one of the things. It's that thing to say, I will be seen as a crazy person. And there's a stigma. There's a stigma around that. There's that. Why would somebody look at me? Why would I say I'm going to a therapist? And so everybody begins to look at you like, oh, maybe this person is not all right. Maybe this person is not okay. And I think that people want to avoid that.
Mm,
I think the second thing is because we're not raised to be conscious of that mental health. And again, we really have to compare this to our physical health. It's very easy for someone, if someone was having a headache and you said, take paracetamol now, talk to the doctor. You'd be like, yeah, so like, oh, I'm having pain in my tummy. Have you seen your family physician? Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, I'm gonna go see him. It's easy, and
mm,
people understand that. And I think the reason for that is we don't feel as if we are weaklings when we
yeah.
need to see a family physician.
Mm,
We don't feel that it takes anything away from us. Like, I'm not weak for needing to see a doctor because
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, you know, I wasn't trained to be a doctor. But once we begin to have that conversation, and I was talking to someone about this recently, the person told me there are physical and there are spiritual things. And I said, no, actually, there's physical, there's spiritual, and then there's mental, and then there's emotional.
Hmm.
Because once we make that demarcation, physical and spiritual, then it's like, if it's not physical,
Spiritual.
then it's spiritual. And so if I have an issue that is not physical, I pray about it and then I move on. I pray about it, or I talk to my imam, or I talk to my priest, or I talk to whoever, and then I move on. It is not an issue anymore. Any other thing that is asking me to see anybody to talk about it or to do any other thing about it, that person is almost trying to tell you that your physical and your spiritual health, you haven't handled it properly. And that just threatens people. It's like, no, 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 no. Everything is okay. I've seen my family physician. My physical body is okay. My pastor knows I'm attending church. I'm praying. I'm fasting. I'm paying my tithes. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I pray 3 times a day or whatever it is I'm supposed to do. So I'm fine. And I think that that association with that weakness, and if we connect it to further, you know, with religion, a lot of people consider counseling to be advice. So I get a lot of people, they come to my DM and they send me a message and they say something and something. They say, please advise me. Please advise me. And what I always tell people is, I do not give advice. That's not my job. Because the idea is, you are the author of your life.
Hmm.
You are the person who has been with yourself since the day you were born to this day. My job is to help you look inward, again, to look in the mirror, because all this time you've always been looking outside. And it's kind of ironic. You're looking for advice because you don't think you have the answers.
Yeah.
And my job is to help you find those answers because they are inside of you. Because people have to know something. Every time someone gives you advice, it's based on their experience,
Yeah.
not actually based on anything scientific or anything that has to do with research. It's based on their experience. If a man has been in a marriage for 25 years and he has not spoken to his wife, he doesn't talk to his wife every day. And then you as a woman, you now come and tell that man, maybe he's a pastor or he's a, you know, and he's like, oh, he'll tell you, I haven't, you're complaining, I haven't spoken to my husband in days, he's not talking to me. He'll tell you, oh, my sister, look, marriage is like that.
Hmm.
Don't worry. Go home, you know, pray about it. You know, I had someone who, a woman came and was complaining to her that her husband was cheating on her. And this one did not know that one too, her husband was cheating on her also.
Wow.
And this was the, you know, the pastor in the church. And that's,
Wow.
she said, what did she advise her? She said, look, just go home and pray about it. Love him,
Wow.
take care of him.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
she started pointing out things like, maybe it's your weight, maybe it's your, you know, just started and was blaming the woman essentially. And I was telling her, I said, you can't even blame that woman. It's because she too, she blames herself for her husband cheating on her.
Wow.
So she's
Because of our weight.
essentially, yes, because of her weight. So she's
Wow.
translating that experience to you because she assumes that that is what is also going on with you. So that's the problem with advice. And anytime somebody gives you advice, it is always based on their experience.
Hmm.
So let's begin to find ourselves as opposed to looking for advice because the answers are there with you. I've seen this with people. They think they don't have the answers. And once they begin to look inward, it's like, you know, they begin to figure out things for themselves. And it's like, yeah, I actually knew that, you know, I actually thought about that. And it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, the answers are with you. So
Hmm.
that's, what do I call it now? That space where we're thinking somebody else has the answer. Remember, that the answer that that person supposedly has is coming from that person's experience. And take it from me, if you do not want your life to look like the life of the person you're taking an advice from,
Yeah.
you probably don't want to be taking advice from them,
That is
because
amazing.
they would give you a reactionary answer. There's a saying. One person said, they asked the person, why do you drink alcohol? Why are you an alcoholic? He said, because I watched my father drink. The other one said, why are you not an alcoholic? Why don't you drink alcohol? He said, because I watched my father drink. What am I
Hmm.
trying to say? Two different reactions to the same situation.
Hmm.
That's advice for you. One person
Wow.
will tell you, don't drink. The other person will tell you, drink,
Bring.
because of their experiences, as opposed to asking you what works for you.
Hmm. That is amazing. That is amazing. Thank you very much. We have a lady on Instagram by the name of Kel underscore Lien. He said, I'm in an interracial marriage and see the stigma of my African partner very clearly. When suggesting the use of therapy, there tends to be a notion that people will use religion to address problems.
Yes.
Hmm.
On a lot of times when we talk about these things, people always ask me, why are you always talking about pastor? Because that's our heritage, physical,
Yeah.
spiritual. That's why we talk about it. Because
Hmm.
a lot of us think that, we recognize that if it's a physical illness, our pastor doesn't know anything about it. But we also have to remember that there are a lot of people who also respect their pastors more than their doctors. So you can see how big of a problem this is. Even though many
Yeah.
of us recognize that physical illness is a doctor's job, we know
Yeah.
many of us still respect our pastors more than. I have had so many patients.
Wow.
So many patients where you recommend something to them clearly, and they will tell you, my pastor said I should not take it. And they will not take it.
Wow.
So you
Wow.
can now imagine when we're talking about mental health. That one is that you're just wasting your time, because she can clearly see me as the doctor. She clearly knows that I know what I'm doing, but her pastor, he sees beyond what I'm seeing.
Hmm.
It's like there's that the mystification around what a pastor can or cannot do. It's so powerful that whenever we're facing anything, we take it religious. We take it religious. And so I
Hmm.
understand what this person is saying, because that's the way a lot of African men think. To say
Hmm.
that I do not need this. Our pastor can help us. Our
Wow.
reverend can help us. Our imam can help us.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, a lot of the advice that a lot of these imams are giving comes from their own experience, comes from their own religion, comes
Hmm.
from their own reactionary experience. I was working with a couple for a while. You won't believe this. And during this period, they told me we have our Ramadan fasting. And I was like, you guys are Muslims? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know, because, this isn't a conversation around religion.
Hello.
It's a conversation around what works, because it doesn't
Yes.
matter what religion you're from. We all deserve to be in healthy, thriving relationships.
Hmm.
And there's a science behind that. There's research behind that to show what works. There are people who have spent a lifetime doing research on these things, and these are the things that we share. It's not about religion, it's not about being spiritual. Your spiritual leaders are there, they are important to help you have that connection with God, to help you have that relationship with your God based on your beliefs. But when it comes to our mental and our emotional health, we need to see the experts.
Yeah. That is amazing. Still on the Global Talkative series. Here with me is Dr. Sam Iwa, certified life and relationship coach. And our topic today is demystifying the taboo around family, marital counseling, coaching, and therapy. And we've been having a lot of amazing questions, and we still have a lot of questions. And you can send your question if you're watching us on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, and send your questions, and then we'll do our best to answer the questions, and then we'll continue. Kel Lien said, "How do we choose a good therapist? What makes a good therapist?"
That is a fantastic question. Oh my goodness, that is so good. Um, I would say that it could be a trial and error approach.
Mm,
But this is what I would say. If you're a single person who is seeing a therapist, who is seeing a coach, who is seeing a counselor, I want you to pay attention to how you feel in that space. One thing I always tell my clients is, if we speak for the first, 15 to 20 minutes, and you do not think it's working for you, I'll give you a full refund, no questions asked. And there's a reason for that. You're not going to be compatible with every coach. You're not going to be compatible with every therapist. You're not going to be compatible with every counselor. Let's take culture, for example. Someone might not understand some of the cultures that we have as Black people. It's not because that person is a bad therapist. So, for example, someone who is white, who, the white culture is more of an independent culture, and the African culture is more of a collectivist culture. What does that mean? It means that as a girl, if you're 30 and you're still living with your parents, and your parents are maybe controlling, a white therapist might not understand why you might find it difficult to move out of your parents' house.
mm,
Because to her, it might just be an easy decision. Like you have a good job, yeah. You have this, yeah. You have this. She might not get it. What is really keeping you there? It's the culture. It's the
mm,
shame. Oh, you haven't married. Maybe you have become a wayward girl. Maybe there's a lot of things that go into that she might not understand, because maybe she moved out at the age of 18, 19, and nobody called her wayward. That was seen as independence. That was seen as growth, as maturity. So that cultural difference, and that's just an example. It could be a religious difference. It could be, what theory or what perspective or what technique that the person is using. And what I would say is, when you sit in front of a therapist, you want them to explain to you what they're going to do for you.
mm,
You want them to tell you how they work. They'll tell you what methods they use, and they'll tell you what you should be looking for in that space.
mm,
After that, you want to pay attention to how you feel.
mm,
If you do not feel that it is working for you, then that person is probably not good for you. Because here's the thing: if you're not feeling completely safe in a therapeutic space, there's no change that can happen. And you just need to understand what safety is. Safety means that you're relaxed. Safety means that you're open to the conversation. You're not defensive. You're not looking around. You're not feeling. If you don't pay full attention, you're not going to benefit from it. So if you don't feel okay, you can talk to the therapist about it and say, look, I'm not comfortable in this space. And maybe you guys can explore why you're not feeling safe.
mm,
But if you don't, you shouldn't be working with that person. So you can change. Now, when it comes to couples, and I think this is the most important one, when I and my wife started seeing a therapist, the question we always used to ask ourselves is, if me, I say I like that therapist, how about you? Do you like her too? Are you
mm,
comfortable? Because a lot of times I find that people go to counselors that either only the wife is okay with, or only the husband is okay with. And
mm,
this person is saying things that you don't agree with. You're like, no, 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 what's going on here? And that person thinks they have helped you. But one of you is not okay with what that person is giving. That's not good help for the relationship. Only one person is benefiting. And in a therapeutic space, when it has to do with a marriage or a relationship, there are three entities always. And I always tell this to people: there's the man, there's the woman, or there's the two partners,
mm,
and then there's the relationship. So you don't want to be in a space where someone is favoring one partner and the other partner isn't feeling like they're benefiting. That means the relationship is not benefiting.
yeah.
One, partner two have to be benefiting for the relationship to have any hope. So if both of you are going to see, and that's one of the things I always tell people, if you're inviting your partner who doesn't like therapy, who doesn't like coaching, who doesn't like anything, just tell them, say, let's go there, just try it out. Just, I know you have, negative feelings or negative thoughts about this, but I want it to be confirmed. Just go there and see if you don't like it. I've had so many people like that. When they're done, they're like, I actually didn't think I was going to do this again. But now I see that it's not so bad. So, talk to that person. Tell them if you don't feel okay, if you have any single complaint about this thing, we're not going to do it again. Or we'll find someone else. Just give them that safety to know that we're not going to force this situation. So when it comes to finding a therapist for your union, for your relationship, both of you must be okay. You always have to check in with your partner and say, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? Do you feel threatened? Because, if they feel threatened in that space, they will not hear anything, or not anything that the person is saying. And so you're just essentially wasting your time and wasting the time of the therapist too.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that explanation. I've got a question regarding counseling, premarital counseling. But before going to that question, someone wrote the right fit marriage said in a poll I conducted, a significant number of respondents said the most important thing their parents passed on to them is religion, and that makes me feel that we are putting a square peg in a round hole when it comes to issues of mental health, emotional well-being, our sanity. Because like you said, we having headache, we go to pastor to pray. We're having, you even fall down, you bind the devil, you're binding the floor. You are driving, something happen, a bird, fly across you, you're binding the devil. See, that is one of the major, garbage that, Africans and a lot of folks, in this environment have had to battle with. And then issues
Look,
started happening and started
look,
complaining.
I was watching a documentary the other day of a man that was involved in wildlife conservation. And do you know what he was conserving? Bats. Bats. And I was thinking to myself, every time I saw a bat when I was growing up, I know, even the other day we went to visit a friend, they had a cat. I was just telling my friend, I said, when I was young, every time I see a cat, I would always be afraid because there were so many things that were associated with cats. It was like,
Especially black ones.
black
The
cats,
black one.
oh, bats, owls. It's like, I really agree with that. That most of what our parents passed across to us was religion. I remember growing up and I was telling my mom and my dad, I said, I can't really remember you guys encouraging me to study. I can't really remember you guys asking me, what do you want to be in the future? I can't really remember you guys asking me, how do you feel? I can't really remember, just having those human conversations. But always the conversation was about church. We used to go to church. I grew up in deeper life. We used to go to church on Monday,
Likewise.
on Wednesday, on Thursday, and on Sunday. Okay,
And
that was
special
4 times
retreats.
a week for a regular member. My parents
Wow.
used to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday,
On
and some
Sunday.
Fridays.
Wow. That is excluding night videos.
Oh my goodness. That's why I said some Fridays. So if there was a week that had a vigil, that means they would go to church 7 times a week. No conversation about mental health. No conversation about emotional health. It's almost like you are ignoring the other part that makes that person human. Could you imagine?
Wow.
Ignoring, and then we are surprised. The other day someone was telling me, said, my daughter, it's as if she doesn't have any feelings. I said, where do you expect her to get the feelings from? You never honored those feelings. You never respected those feelings. And this was a close family member. I say, how is she supposed to have those feelings when nobody paid attention? She's crying over this. You say, how can you be crying over that? She's doing this. How can you, everything dismissed? But when it comes to religion, you don't dismiss, you don't challenge, you don't argue. So yes, a huge chunk of our upbringing was religious. And that's why, aside from the fact that there's that stigma around when we hear mental, I think that another huge block for us is our pastor will help us out. Because let me tell you, Larry, I don't think there's any married couple that has not spoken to their pastor or their imam or their spiritual leader about their issues. So they recognize that they have challenges in their marriage. But the default person that they would want to speak to,
therapist, a counselor, they don't want to.
They don't want to.
I
their
hear you.
spiritual leader that they will first go to. Every time. And so yeah, that's I agree, religion.
And they
But
forget
that's a conversation for another day.
And they forget one thing that their so-called pastor, imam, or sheikh, or guru, whatever, too has emotions, probably going through some problems at home that needs help too.
Now that you mentioned that, you can see how heartbreaking it is that the pastor then doesn't have anybody to help him.
That's
because
pathetic.
he's supposed to be the helper. He's supposed to be the know-it-all.
And cannot show any sign of weakness.
Cannot show any sign of weakness.
Because he's holy and he's righteous and he's a pastor. Yes. He cannot cry.
He cannot. He can't, what are you talking about? Pray about it. Funny enough, I have a friend here who is a spiritual leader here in Calgary, and she had a huge tragedy in her life. And some of her members were telling her that, say, but you are a pastor now.
Wow.
She told me this. She said, some people don't get that I'm human. And when you talked about it, I'm just thinking to myself, this is even a bigger load for them because they have to carry what everyone else is carrying. And part of, there are some schools where when you're studying psychology, they make it mandatory for you to have a therapist. Because, it's like we're all human. The fact that I have an idea about this thing doesn't stop me from being human. And that's why I have my own therapist. I talk to at least once every week because I'm also trying to find myself. And she talks about her own therapist that she sees. Because we all need that space. We all need that space where we can find ourselves. Think about this. I run this test all the time. I'll ask people, do you love your mom? Yes. Do you love your dad? Yes. Do you love your kids? Yes. Most people are able to answer these questions very quickly. Ask them, do you love yourself? There'll be a pause. Just try out this experiment. Just randomly call a friend and say, come. Do you love your wife? Of course.
What are you saying? What are you talking about?
It's almost an insult. How can you question whether I love my wife? Do you love your kids? Look at what do you mean?
What am I working for? What am I working for?
Exactly. But once you ask, do you love yourself? You see a hesitation.
Yeah.
Because some people haven't even thought about it. And again, it's that looking in the mirror. I told one of my clients, I said, I want you to stand in front of the mirror every morning when you wake up, and I want you to look yourself in the eye and say, Sam, I love you. And he was laughing. I said, that feels weird, right? But if I tell you to tell your girlfriend you love her, it will be flowing from your mouth. I love you, baby. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Okay, good night. How many times do you tell your girlfriend you love her? Think about what telling your girlfriend you love her does for her. Think about what it does for you when people tell you they love you. But you don't even tell yourself you love yourself. And it's almost as if we devalue the importance of doing that.
mm,
But if I was in a relationship with my wife and I don't tell her I love her for 6 months, even if I'm showing her every day, there will be problem.
mm, mm,
I have to say it.
mm. We've lost that part of us,
We've
that
lost.
needs self-affirmation.
That is correct. Because we don't see ourselves. Look, we don't see, like, if you're literally walking, you don't see yourself. You're seeing everybody else.
Yeah.
You don't see yourself. And many of us, even when we look in the mirror and we think we look amazing, if somebody outside does not say, this is your dress now, fire, you still
You're
won't
not.
feel it.
Yeah.
Because you haven't learned to it's the voice of other people, it's the opinion of other people, it's how
Mm,
people think about you, it's what people say about you. It's so important for most people because
mm,
that relationship with ourselves, we haven't had time to
mm.
cultivate it.
That is amazing. Still on the Global Talkative series, a global platform to hang out, collaborate, and inspire one another. Today's section has been amazing, and we still have some questions more for Dr. Sam. And I have some questions on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Facebook. We'll take our time to answer those questions one after the other. And today's topic has been demystifying the taboo around family and marital counseling, coaching, and therapy. Now, the question I have is premarital counseling necessary for individuals venturing into marriage? All that thought before going to that question, someone, Mehmet Duma on Instagram said, what's the difference between going to see a marriage counselor versus marriage therapist? Is one better than the other?
Okay, I think we already answered that. So essentially, counseling and therapy are the same thing for all intents and purposes. Even though I think that from the African, or I would say, particularly Nigerian aspect, because that's what I'm used to. Whenever we hear counselor, it is such a broad name that applies to almost everyone. It's like, I saw a counselor. Okay, who was this counselor? Is my pastor. I have spoken to. I remember once where me and my wife got married. The counselor in the church was just like it was a post that was given to the person. It wasn't like there was any training. I have also had, in some churches where they just call someone and say, we're going to make you our marriage counselor for this church.
Mm,
So I don't think that the name is important. What I think is that the qualifications are important
mm,
and what that person is about to do for you. So if you're finding yourself in a space where people are telling you what to do, I will probably say that that person is a religious counselor. And maybe that religious counselor means everything that that person is telling you is based on what the Bible says.
mm,
So basically, that person's blueprint is what the Bible says. And I have to bring this out. My belief about what the Bible says about marriage is that there's a there's some, when the Bible says, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's cattle,
yeah.
property, wife,
Yeah.
but it doesn't say thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's husband.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that suggests that there was a time that women were actually seen as property. So when someone, and when we talk about marriage, we talk about being the husband being the head of the home. We talk about the woman being, some people say it's the neck, some people say it's the shoulder. I
Help
don't know
us.
what it is,
Yeah.
the helper. Now again, the only reason I'm mentioning this is to say if it works for you, it's fine. The only thing I'm trying to bring out here is to say that you have to understand that when you go to a religious counselor, they would counsel you not based on who you are, but based on the principles of the Bible.
Mm,
So if that's what you're following, then obviously you can say that that pastor is trained in the ways of the Bible to counsel you.
yeah.
But now the question I always ask people is, I have seen so many Christian marriages that are failing today. In fact, I do not personally know, or maybe I'm thinking of one, but I'm thinking about Christian marriages that thrive that I'm personally aware of. And again, I'm saying that I'm personally aware of. So that means the ones that I'm actually able to be in those spaces and speak to the health of the marriage. There are many Christian marriages that are not healthy today.
Mm.
So
Not only Christian marriage, Muslim,
Muslim
Hindu.
marriage, yes. So the idea that religion will help our marriages, I think we need to start moving on from that, because if it was helping, we would have a lot more healthy marriages. So maybe we can
Yeah.
begin to open our minds up and say, being a Christian is good, being a Muslim is good, being a spiritual person is good, but maybe I need more. So again,
Mm.
that's like saying being a spiritual person is good. I'm going to have my headache and I'm going to pray that God should heal me. And then I'm going to call my family physician. And then I'm
Yeah.
going to say, what can I do? So
Mm.
again, that means that you're attacking the problem from all angles,
Angles.
as
Yeah.
opposed to assuming that it is a spiritual problem.
Mm. And that is why, I read the Bible,
Right.
and there's a place in the Bible that says that my people are destroyed because they
For lack
lack
of knowledge.
knowledge. And a very dear man of God, a pastor friend, said something, said, God gives you brain so that you can give him rest. God give you brain so that you can give him rest. In other words,
So you won't
the
disturb him
brain,
too.
yes, the brain that I gave you, use it. Think. Stop
Right.
bothering. I'm gonna go out to work, and then you're thinking, "Oh, Holy Spirit, is it right color for me?" Come
Right.
on,
Right.
you don't disturb
Right.
God. You don't.
Right.
God is busy with 7.5 billion people. So why
Right.
is he gonna be bothered about the color of your shirt?
Isn't that an interesting thing that you just bring up? How many of us, how many of us can actually say that we are not religious out of fear of something?
Mm,
I need God to guide me. Why do you need God to guide you? So I won't fall, so I won't do mistake, so I won't make the wrong business decision. I remember those days when I was growing up, they would tell me, I feel jammed the first time, feel jammed the second time. I say, that's it. You are not serving God.
my God.
Draw closer to God so you pass this jam. You won't hear. So it's like we are in it for the benefits. We are in it for the protection. We are in it for
Mm,
the covering. There's almost this traditional, those traditional protection of Ogun and
yeah.
Oduduwa. And there's almost
When I
that
serve him, he's
suppression.
gonna give me this.
Yes. So there's no real spiritual, and one of the ways that I look at this is like the relationship a father has with his child. Are you there to be friends with that child? Just imagine your child. He's not really talking to you, but every time, daddy, I want shoe, daddy, I want clothes, daddy, I want this, daddy, I want that. How many times is that child just coming into your presence and just saying, hello, how are you? My day was like this, just talk. Maybe that's what spirituality is supposed to be, as opposed to always asking for stuff and looking for protection and trying to get him to solve your mental and your emotional health or your physical health problems. There's
Mm.
this magical, you know, I don't know, it's almost, I don't know how to describe it, but I guess that's just
It's a two-way relationship. You don't just keep asking, 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 and when you get everything, you're okay. You're on your way, on your own. But when there's a problem, then you remember, okay, there's a God somewhere that can solve my problem, and you run to the God, and then God, okay, solve my problems, and again solve the problem, and then you move away. And
right.
that is why Jesus Christ was making reference to the lepers, to let you know that there's a place where you need to show appreciation. You know, whether you're serving Jesus or whatever you're serving, there's a way where you have to devote that part of you to love that person back,
Right.
because
Right.
God is a jealous God, according to what I've read.
Right.
He said, okay, some, we healed so many individuals, but where are the others? You only came back to say thank you. Where are the rest?
Right. Right.
It's relationship supposed to be, give and take, like they say. Our question now is premarital counseling necessary for individuals venturing into marriage? And before you answer that question, for our audiences on Instagram, Instagram only allows 1 hour stretch. So I am just gonna, like, once it's 1 hour dot, we're gonna switch back and then connect back to Instagram to continue this conversation, because we want Dr. Owa to do justice to some of the questions we have today. The transmission or the chat goes on uninterrupted on Facebook and YouTube, but when it's on the dot of 1 hour, Instagram will time out and then we're going to connect back. So the question is premarital counseling necessary for individuals venturing into marriage?
Okay, so I kind of have something written down here, and I
Yeah.
think that I want to explain a long process. And if you have a pen and paper, and this is something that you're interested in, just like say, if you're someone who says, I want to understand myself, I want to know what's going on with me, I just want to explain some things. So at the
And
beginning, we
before you
talked.
start,
Okay,
we have this video recorded. It's going to be available on my YouTube channel.
yeah,
You can have access to this. If you go to Lanre Ajayi, subscribe and click the bell button, so you have this information
yeah.
right available for you. So you can go ahead, sir.
Okay. So at the beginning, I was talking about learning. Okay. So imagine you're born into a home, you're a little child, you basically don't know anything. You're looking up to your mom, your dad, your auntie, your uncle, whoever was your caregiver. What are you looking to do? You're looking to learn. We talked about implicit, we talked about explicit learning. Explicit learning means you were told directly, do this, don't do that. Don't do that, do this. Implicit learning was more by observation, what people were doing, what
Mm,
people were suggesting to each other. You can hear two people have a conversation and you implicitly learn from that. I'll give you a very funny example of myself. I remember one time, I was growing up, maybe I was about 19 or 20. And I remember this so vividly. I'm passing by this restaurant and, I think I went to buy a crate of Coke or something. And I'm hearing the lady, she's talking to her friend just before I get there. She's saying, when she gets married, she's never going to wear panties to bed. That she's always going to tie a wrapper. Her husband is always going to have access to her and all of that. I just heard that. She wasn't talking to me.
mm.
When I got married, that was my expectation of my wife without even
Wow.
realizing it.
Wow.
But you see, again, because I'm able to have this relationship with myself, that's why I even remember this.
Hmm.
So someone that doesn't know me, that probably does not remember me, actually said something that I carried into my marriage.
Wow.
I was disappointed when my wife would wear underwear to bed. And it's like, why? Why are you doing that? But it's like, where did that expectation come from?
Hmm.
So that's what learning looks like. Implicit learning. Nobody told you directly. And so a lot of us are moving around and we're sponging things and we're absorbing up these things. And those things form the fabric of who we are. So again, when you think about fabric, you think about all the threads that are going in to make that material. It is that implicit learning that forms the person who you think you are. Now, the thing about that is most people think they are in control of who they are. Because nobody is literally controlling you with a remote control. Hi Sheila, I see you too.
Yeah.
Nobody's literally controlling you with a remote control. But here's the thing, because of that learning, you are carrying a lot of people in your head without really realizing it.
Hmm.
Somebody said black is bad, and you are there thinking black is bad. But do you actually think black is bad? Or it is because Johnson,
Said
22 years
years
ago,
ago.
said black was completely wrong, and you actually agreed? Some of us are attracted to a particular kind of man, and we don't know why. That man, maybe he showed some abusive tendencies. Maybe he shows some rough tendencies that you were used to in your home, that you thought that's how men are. And all of a sudden, you feel an attraction for this man. But in your subconscious, you actually want a gentle guy.
Hmm.
Then you now be saying, I don't know why I'm always attracted to these abusers. I don't understand. You're a guy. You don't even know why you like big boobs and big bum. You don't know. Maybe that's not what you really like. But someone somewhere has told you that that is
Instagram.
the,
We're gonna come back on Instagram. Let's just continue this.
someone
Continue.
someone somewhere has told you that that's the best thing in the whole world. Big bum and big boobs.
Hmm.
So what is defining who you are is the very first question that you have to be asking yourself. Because we don't want to live our lives
You can coming back
carrying.
on Instagram now. I've sent an invitation to you
Okay, okay.
because I guess a lot of folks are very
Yes.
engrossed.
Let me see. Let me send that
This is
in.
good stuff. Okay, yeah, I've seen you coming in right now. This is good stuff. So I'm welcoming back all our guests on Instagram. Welcome back. I guess we're welcoming you back on Instagram, and we're still here with Dr. Sam Owa, and she's trying to give us some information regarding some notes he has taken, on the question of is premarital counseling necessary for individuals venturing into marriage? And while we were at this interruption, you were talking about some guys who probably want ladies with big boobs or big bumps, and then they don't know why they're attracted, or
Yes.
some folks, some ladies were saying they're attracted to these abusers. And before you go on, I remember I read a comment, I read something recently that many of us were praying for a man like Osh Poppy with a touch of Sam Adeyemi, or some are praying for a lady like Kim Kardashian with a touch of Mama Deboye.
And it's because it's so confusing, right? You and that's the thing. You see, if you were aware that you were looking for a man like Hush Puppy and a man like Samadeyemi, if you
A
were aware of
touch,
it, if
a
with a
man,
touch,
a touch
with
of
a
Sam
touch,
Adeyemi,
okay. If
or
you were
a Kim Kardashian with
and
a
a touch
touch of
of
Mama Deboye.
Okadiboye, okay. If you were aware that that is who you were looking for in the therapeutic space, that's the question I'll be asking you. Tell me about Hush Puppy. What is it about Hush Puppy that you like? Because for a lot of us, we know that that is what we want, but we don't understand why. And this leads us into situations where we now ask ourselves, how did I get here?
Hmm.
How did I find myself in this space? Because if we want to really understand what's happening, look, when we are used to certain things, when we have certain habits, we feel safe in those habits. So if you remember the example that I gave you, if you grew up in a family where your mom and dad always told you, I love you, they blow you kisses. You feel safe when someone tells you they love you. If you're in a relationship where someone stays, they say they love you, they are showing you every day. They stay 6 months, they don't tell you they love you. That begins to feel weird for you. It's like you don't feel safe, you don't feel comforted. If you take that to all these patterns that we're talking about, I like a girl with big boobs and big bum. Every time I see a girl that has small boobs and small bum, the first thing that comes to my head is she's not beautiful, and I write her off
Yeah.
without even thinking about it. This is an automatic thought. Every time I see someone that doesn't look like the hush puppy I'm looking for, I write that person off immediately because I already have certain ideas in my head that this is what this person is supposed to be like. So anything that strays away from the familiar,
Hmm.
remember your familiar. Your familiar is something you imbibed from when you were a child. It wasn't your choice, they were just bombarding you with it. Now, every time you see something that is not familiar to you, you feel threatened. So, what do you do when you feel threatened? What do people do when they feel threatened? They do one or all of three things: they attack, they run away or withdraw, or they put up a wall.
Mm. The defense mechanism.
Defense mechanisms. You feel threatened, you must protect yourself at all costs. Now, could you imagine someone who has, first of all, no control over what they like or don't like? That person also has no control over their defense mechanisms, because remember, they are not in control.
Mm.
So now, a child called me by my name, and I'm looking at that child and I'm angry, and my day has been spoiled and I'm vexing. Other people are talking to me and I'm saying, leave me alone. This child is so rude. But I'm not even aware that that is a defense mechanism to me feeling disrespected. But that is something that my forefathers actually did. And maybe I have no business doing that.
Mm.
If we take that into a relationship, do you see why some couples, you see them always fighting, always fighting, always fighting? It's not because they don't love each other, but they're always attacking each other. Why? Because that's their defense mechanism. When I feel hurt, when I feel threatened, and remember, it's not necessarily that you are threatening me. Is that I feel threatened. That's what matters.
Not a physical threat,
Not a physical
but
threat.
some.
I just feel it.
Oh,
I
oh.
feel it. I just feel threatened. I will react. If I'm an attacker, I will attack you. If I'm a withdrawer, I will withdraw. If I am a wall builder, I will put up a wall. How many of us don't know people that once you just vex them, they will block you on Instagram, block you on WhatsApp? How many of us know the ones that when you vex them, they will send you message, idiot, fool, look at you, your big head, you're this. Then after they'll tell you, I'm sorry. Or they block you, and then they unblock you. Then they apologize. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Don't we all know people like that? Because they actually didn't mean to, but because they were not in control, that is their body reacting, protecting themselves from that particular situation where they felt safe, whether that person was actually threatening them or not.
Mm. That is
Now, why did I go through all of this background? You asked me a question. You said, is premarital counseling necessary
for individuals venturing into marriage?
for individuals venturing into marriage? What do you think?
It's necessary. It's important. Because no one, if you're sick, you need a physician. We know human beings knows the things to do. We know what to do, but there's some issues when it comes to the matters of the heart. We try to protect it. We try to cover the shame that, what will people say? Because number one, if your car is developing a fault, you don't think of a lawyer. It doesn't come near your mind. You think of an engineer or a mechanic that can fix your vehicle.
That's right.
If you injure, bruise your leg or your feet, maybe you're playing soccer or something, you don't think of an engineer to fix your hand. You think of a clinic or somewhere to go. If you are hungry and you see a restaurant, you look for food to eat. But
Yes.
when something is bothering your mind, it will be foolhardy for you to go and see a pastor. The pastor, I don't know.
Right.
I'm just feel disappointed. My heart is broken, and they will now send you 10 days fasting and prayer, dry one.
Laurie, here's the issue. Here's the challenge. When you are hungry, you actually know you are hungry.
Yeah.
But for many people, you see, that's why I took time to explain that thread. If I feel threatened, I don't think there's a problem. I think you are the problem.
Hmm.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
I don't think, I felt threatened. That's all I know. So to me, and that's why you hear many people in relationship, if only my wife could change, if only my husband could change. It's my husband that is always, if he didn't do this thing, I won't react the way I'm reacting. If he didn't say this thing, I won't react the way I'm reacting. And it's the way he was looking at me. If you see the way he was talking, if you see the way, most people don't think there's a problem, and that's the problem. And that's why many times when people are going to marriage counseling or coaching, they are going to report their spouse.
Hmm.
They are not going to
To
say,
learn.
yes, they don't know that there's an issue. Because when you're hungry, you just know. But could you imagine somebody who was hungry but did not know that they were hungry? And they were hungry, but they thought they had headache.
Wow.
They will go and take paracetamol instead of eating food. That is the challenge. And again, when we take it back, we have to understand that that's because we were not raised to pay attention to that. Again, looking in the mirror, you see, all these things are interconnected.
Yeah.
We can't look in the mirror, we're looking at other people. So when I feel threatened, it's you. When I feel unsafe, it's you. I'm not at any point thinking, but wait, so maybe it is me that is seeing this thing weird. Let me give you an example. I had a client once who someone hit a jackpot, got a lot of money, and offered her the money. Just said, I want to send you 2K or 2K grand. Do you know that she was offended by that?
Someone to give you free money.
Yes. And let me tell you why she was offended. And she had good reason. She said, this person was trying to show her that she had more money than her.
Wow.
This person was trying to oppress her she said, take $2K is not my problem.
Wow.
I don't need it. So do you see how someone's perspective, and now when maybe you look at that person's history, you might realize a history of bullying, people trying to oppress, people trying to suppress people, and so that's that person's reaction now. It's automatic. They're not thinking about it anymore.
And
So
the
you
person
see,
offering the money is coming with a good intention. That I've got
there you
some
go.
surplus. I've got surplus.
There you go.
Just share.
There you go. There you go. So it's not always about the situation, but it's how we see it. And you can see how offering someone $2,000 can even make them not want to be your friend anymore because you're a show off. So think about a relationship where these dynamics are playing out. And you think that person is threatening to you. You think you are right and that person is wrong, but you don't realize that your fabric, your implicit and explicit learning is playing a huge role in your relationship. And the same thing is happening for that person. And instead of both of you coming together and say, see, this dance that we're having here is not working. No. Let's go and find somebody that will point it out to us and say, okay. When you tell me, just imagine I had those two people. When you offered her $2,000, what were you thinking? Imagine if that person was able to say, I got this money and I remember that my friend likes this Birkin handbag. And I thought to myself, I have to buy it for her. And then maybe that friend can listen and say, but is that all you thought? Say, yeah. Say, oh. But if that was a relationship and her friend offered her 2,000, what will her reply be? I don't want your money. Please take it away. I beg. Why are you offering me? Then that other person who offered the money will now be offended too. Do you see? I gave you something from the love in my heart, and look at your reaction. Now I too feel threatened. What will I do back? I attack you too.
Wow.
Hey, is it because I gave you money, you're behaving anyhow? You're so proud, you're too pompous. Then we're fighting. And you see that story playing over and over in everyday marriage. It's like just this continuous beating of the drum, and we don't realize that it's our personal dynamics that are playing. And that's why every relationship is unique. And that's why a one-size advice can never, ever fit everyone. That's why you need someone who knows what they're doing, who can sit down and identify the unique issues in that unique dance to say, guys, have you considered this? This could be what may be going on. This could be what may be happening. Because without that, we'll just find ourselves in situations where we keep attacking each other. And again, this is why you have a lot of marriages. Just check it. Always fighting, screaming at each other, attacking each other. I was telling my wife the other day, I said, people scream because they want to be heard. People don't scream because they like to scream.
Hmm.
When you see someone shouting, it's because
That's
they
not
want you to
calling
hear them.
attention to something.
Yes, this is important to me. So when people do that, they keep attacking each other. You see all those people, they won't talk to each other for days in their marriage. It is one or three of those dynamics of attacking, of withdrawing, or of building a wall. So
Yeah.
if you ask me, people need premarital counseling, it's not just premarital. Look, if you want to have a healthy marriage in the future, if you want to have a healthy relationship, if you want to be a healthy father, a healthy mother, you need it for yourself. Forget premarital now. Let's talk about personal relationship with self.
Hmm.
Personal relationship with self. You need to have that. You need to have that personal relationship with yourself first. And here's another thing. Do you see how when your patterns, when your fabric is controlling you, how you might get to choose the wrong partner?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Do you see why it's important to find yourself before you choose? Because if you really liked somebody with small boobs and small bum, but your pattern was to choose big one, when you now finally get into that wedding, a marriage, you'll now be looking at the person and say, but these big boobs no can really make sense like that again. No. And then you'll be wondering to yourself, but I was in love with this person. I was this, I was that. But that's because you were not in control. So let's leave premarital.
Hmm.
Find yourself.
Hmm.
Find yourself. It is your greatest mandate
Hmm.
to have a healthy relationship with you. Because guess what? You are the most important person in your world.
Hmm. That is
You want to
amazing.
you want to spend all that time loving Mr. A, loving Miss B. You're forgetting that you are actually there.
Hmm.
Hey, take yourself out on a date. Sit down with yourself, get a journal, ask yourself, Sam, how are you feeling today? I feel a little bit down. Do you know that there's some people they feel down, they don't recognize that they feel down? They just say, I know just everything, no just they, they'll be restless. Look, even when we talk about substance abuse, alcoholics, um, sexual addictions, these are people who are not feeling okay sitting with themselves. Those substances, do you know what those substances do for people? They numb them, they make them unaware. Hey, sometimes we see some people, they just like to sleep. Overeaters, yes.
Yeah. She's about.
That's
Thank
why
you.
you have, that's why you have, yes. Because again, anything to feel good right now. Because I don't like what is going on. But most people don't realize that what is going on is just information that you can
Hmm.
sit in a therapeutic space and get that information. Because sometimes, again, it's like physical illnesses. When you have pain in your stomach, when you tell the doctor, what does the doctor say? Let's examine that stomach.
Yeah.
It
Check it
could be
out.
the liver, it could be the it's a sign, it's information. The doctor is not going to tell you take opioids, take painkillers. Let's just deaden the pain. Let's not look at what's going on.
There should be some diagnosis before identifying. Okay, this is the root cause of the problem before attacking it.
Exactly. And again, your pastor can't do that for you. Your spiritual leader can he needs his own. Do you understand? He can't do that for you.
Hmm.
Finding yourself is the best thing you can do for yourself and for the world at large.
Thank you very much. This is still the Global Talkative series, where we collaborate, hang out, and inspire one another. And today's topic has been very, very, eye-opening, demystifying the taboo around family, marital counseling, coaching, and therapy. And our guest today has been Dr. Samuel Iwa, certified life and relationship coach. And I'm guessing a lot of folks, someone asked a question: how do you identify a good therapist or a good coach? If you're watching on Instagram, if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, his website is here displayed, for you guys to see. It's www.domesticatedman.ca/coaching. The domesticatedman.ca/coaching. It's someone that's you can be safe to talk to and to relate with. And that, before we go ahead, I want to appreciate all of those who have joining us, who are joining us on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. Thank you so much. Now the next question is, when is it enough? We've established that yes, beyond marital counseling, individuals need, some form of re-examination from time to time. Talk to someone, help about yourself, accept examination, self-discovery.
Right.
Beyond all of that, and our audience, don't get us wrong, or don't get me wrong, that they aren't spiritual problem. They are spiritual problems. It's a fact. In as much as there is spiritual problem, there is also mental problem. There is social problem. There's physical problem. So all of these are real, and we need to go to the right source, the right solution to attack each of this problem headlong. The next question I have here is, when is it enough to stop seeing a therapist or a counselor in a relationship? Whether you personally or in a relationship, when is it enough to stop seeing one?
Right. That's a very nice question. Irene, hi.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, to me, that question is like, when do you stop seeing a doctor for your headache? And I think the answer would be when you feel okay.
Mm.
When you feel okay. I mean,
But if you say, oh, headache comes and go, so you
right.
go back.
Exactly. So you see, if our relationship is experiencing challenges, then we're going. When we feel that we're getting better, we feel that now it seems like things are moving, then we can say, okay, maybe it's time to reduce this, or maybe it's time to stop. But whenever we recognize that it's coming on again, then we always need to go back. So as Ayokun,
Ayomikun, Ayokun
Ayo saying, it's a continuous process.
process.
As long as you need it, you look for it. As long as you need it, you get it. And all that means is this: if you're in a relationship and you recognize that things are not the way either you want it to be or your partner wants it to be, it's as simple as that. Just, I'm in this relationship, I'm in this marriage, my partner doesn't feel okay. I don't feel okay. That's it. Just look for help.
Mm.
Because look, if you don't, you will find yourself in a space where one person is feeling threatened. And when that happens, you're looking at a situation where both of you are going to be doing things that would only push you farther apart.
Mm. Mm.
You don't want to have a relationship or marriage where 15 to 20 years later, you're total strangers who are just living in the same house
Mm.
because it was a sin to get a divorce, or
Yeah.
because I made a commitment, or because of the kids. There's so many reasons out there. Guys, it is possible to be in a relationship with somebody simply because you want to be. Just that. I just love this person and I want to be here.
Mm.
There's no other reason. I connect with them. I love them. They see me. I see them. And that's all it is. So, when do you see therapist? When do you stop? Only you can determine that. You decide that for yourself. What does that mean? If you think there's an issue to be fixed, please, if you've tried once or twice, this thing always baffles me. I see people, they've been trying on their own, it's not working. And I say it's baffling, but actually it's not. Because you think the other person is the problem. No, it's the unique combination of two of you that is
Mm.
causing the problem.
Mm.
So
Mm.
you both need the help.
Yeah.
Every time you see people say they don't want to go, we can work on it. You hear people say, well, you're saying let's go to marriage therapy, but I've been talking to you about this thing that you're doing and you don't want to hear. And that other person say, but I'll also be talking to you about this thing, and you,
Yeah.
you don't want to say, hey, you do the one I'm saying first. No. Come to that safe space. Find your middle ground. Find your compromise. If the relationship is not working for one person, then the relationship is not working for everybody.
Hmm.
So
I,
please let's recognize that.
I got a message here from Irene, which is very touching. She said, "I believe in love, family, and partnership, but I have been so unfortunate with relationship, but I've not given up. I said I just tire sometimes.
Yeah,
You don't give
yeah.
up. You don't give up on love.
You know
Just
the
have to keep
interesting
trying."
you know the interesting thing about that, Irene, this may shock you, but everybody in the world is looking for what you're looking for.
Hmm.
It may shock you. And it will shock you because you get into these relationships, you're ready to love this person, and it just seems like that person is resisting your love. You know what I mean? But that's just because you're loving them in a way that is unfamiliar to them. I have seen someone get into a relationship, and what did he want in that relationship? He wanted a woman who would be completely submissive to him, who would never question him, because that was how his father and his mother had their relationship.
Wow.
So here's the thing, Larry, this is so interesting. Every time his wife questioned him, I'm talking about the most ordinary questions, it came as a threat to him because his mother never, ever
Hmm.
questioned his father.
Wow.
It's not because those two people didn't love each other. It's not. So many times, you see, that man, he was looking for love too, but to him, his interpretation of love. That's why, again, if we go back to the fabric that we talked about,
Now,
it's what
referring to
defines
the
you.
implicit knowledge and explicit
Yes,
knowledge.
his father has told him, if a woman loves you, she will never question you. But he didn't realize that that's what he was telling his son.
Wow.
And so this boy is walking around. If he finds a woman who does not say him when he's talking, the woman love. That's what you'll be hearing. Oh, hey, she love me. Better woman. Correct. So you, as a woman, you love the man, but you're questioning him because you want to understand. And you're realizing he's reacting to you in a negative way. And you're wondering to yourself, but I love this guy. He's looking for love too.
Hmm.
So you see, this is why this is very important that we need to get into that space. Because honestly, I still talk to this guy. It has been really eye-opening for him because it's like, again, I was living my father's life as my own.
Wow.
Even in the presence of his wife, he said, "Do you know how many good women I actually let go because of this thing?" So this is the conversation. There is a lot going on under the surface. So everybody you meet is looking for love. And I just wish people would find somebody that they love and say, "Come, let's go and let's reconstruct our understanding. Come, let us go and reconstruct our idea of love."
Hmm. Hmm.
Haven't you watched movies where if a woman does not give a guy a blowjob, the guy thinks that the woman does not love him?
Hmm. Wow.
Haven't we seen situations where if a guy does not buy gifts for a woman, she thinks the guy does not? Whatever our definition, we actually need a space. And somebody is saying approach matters a great deal.
Yeah.
Approach matters a great deal is very vague because you might be giving the best of your approach according to how you know it,
And it's not
and
enough.
that is not enough. You see, people need to understand because when you say approach is important, you are
Hmm.
talking from your perspective. Look, I can be a person. Look, let me tell you. I remember when I was in the Caribbean. We had this Yoruba guy. He was used to it. Every time he comes, he sees somebody older than him. He will prostrate. You understand? And I remember some Igbo people then that used to say that thing now pretend now wash. It actually used to offend them.
Hmm.
Something that if he did it to a Yoruba elder, the Yoruba elder will say, Omo Dada.
No matter Conley, well
Exactly.
trained, well brought up.
Yes. So approach is so vague. Approach is so vague. You need to remember that your approach is also dependent on how the next person approaches or sees it. Now, somebody is asking, so does it boil down to compatibility? Again, that's very vague. Your definition, you see, what you are defining as compatibility, is that you? Because if you think that you're compatible with someone, like for example, I had this friend when we were in school who had this guy. The guy was gentle, the guy was kind, the guy was really nice, and she thought, oh, the guy is too smart, too, I don't, I like a man that will stand his ground, tell me what to do. Then she got into another relationship where the guy used to beat her up. I remember talking to her a few days ago, and she was saying, well, a few weeks ago, and she was saying that first guy was actually her kind of guy, because that's the kind of person she finally married.
Hmm.
You see? So even when you're saying compatibility, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Hmm.
So best is relative, exactly. So we need, it's really about finding yourself. When you find yourself, you realize that this just becomes easy, because
Hmm.
it's almost like when you realize that I like driving a Honda Accord. Other people around you might be driving a Mercedes, a BM, a Ferrari. If that is who you are, you're just going to be fine. You're just going to be contented because you're at peace. You have found what you want. So your compatibility should be dependent on who you are. And who you are is something you have to make sure you know
Hmm.
before you decide.
That is amazing. This is still the Global Talkative series with Dr. Sam Owa here with me at the Global Talkative studio here in Calgary, Alberta. And our topic today has been demystifying the taboo around family and marital counseling, coaching, and therapy. Dr. Sam, I have folks saying that we have to continue this because we are now doing two sessions in one, and they're asking for a third session, which I don't. It is you. It's up to you because
No, 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 no. I'm
it's
always open. I've told you that. See, my only
because
issue is organizing these things. You're a good planner. Yeah, I don't know how to plan, but if you tell me, Sam, you know how you do it now. You just say, Sam, this is blah 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 blah. I'm ready. I'm down. I'm
we
down.
still have some time more on today's question. And while you were talking, in fact, someone addressed say, yes, yes, you need to come back. Don't worry. Dr. Sam is giving us his word. We're going to have another session, making third session. And it will be the first time we'll be having a guest coming back the third time. That tells you the importance of the issues of the heart. Matters of the heart actually matters, beyond the surface. You know, we are the one that makes our life worth living.
Yeah.
When you take human beings away from the planet, it is just emptiness. Yes,
Right.
emptiness. If you take like the most expensive piece of space in Africa and part of the world is Banana Island in Lagos. But the thing is that what makes it expensive is the building. It is the quality of individuals who are
Yeah.
bounding there, who are living there. You have the richest men in Africa or some richest men in the world choose to live in those spaces, and then properties skyrocketed. So
So,
that is why it is important for us to address issues that has to do with life matters,
ooh,
human
yeah.
life matter, and it's very important. Like you were saying something about the issue of someone talking to arguments here and there about the couples who said that they've never had this argument, or the wife, it shows the sign that my wife loves me because she doesn't question me. That reminds me of some of the leaders we have in our community saying that my wife, we have never had the first argument, we have never. And people started, okay, if this man has never had one argument, they've been married for almost 50 years.
Right.
That means if you're having arguments, that means it's a problem with us, something's wrong with us.
Oh, oh,
How
oh, oh.
do you
Look.
make of that?
Yes, yes. Look, look. I had a client once. Every time she and her husband, the husband was willing to have these conversations, like healthy conflict resolution. But every time they have conflict, this girl will get angry. she will shut down. She will get angry. She will start, just vexing. I need to go out. And do you know when we realize that her parents never fought to her knowledge?
Hmm. Wow.
One of the things I tell people is, you see, people think that you have to be perfect for your kids or you have to be perfect. No, that's not the thing. You have to show them what healthy looks like. And healthy is conflict, and conflict is healthy. It is the way you deal with the conflict that determines if it is healthy or not. So people find themselves, some parents are like, oh, we're never going to fight in front of our kids. You're not helping them. If
Hmm.
you don't fight in front of your kids, you're not helping them, because all
Can
you're
say that,
doing is you're
say that
telling them that
again.
marriage doesn't have
Please say
conflicts.
that again, because that is another taboo that I don't know. We're showing a bad example by fighting or having a quarrel for our kids.
Mm-mm. You show them. You have to. Let me sidestep for a little bit. I was talking to someone the other day, and he was saying his kids. He said my daughter was rude to me, and I said, "What did she do? Tell me more about it." And he said, "Well, I was talking to her, and she was talking back." I said, interesting. I said, when she talks to you, do you talk back at her? He said, yes, but I'm her father.
Wow.
I said, oh, interesting. But hold on a minute. Where do you think she learned it from?
The best.
I said, I said, so you are rude to your daughter every day, but you don't expect her to be rude to you. I'm curious. What is it you're expecting?
Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror.
So we, if you don't have conflict in front of your kids, the lesson for them there is marriage doesn't have conflict, and that's a lie. So every time they see conflict, what are the thoughts that come to their head? Something is wrong with my marriage. We are disagreeing. Something must be wrong. Something must be wrong. We are not compatible. Thoughts can just go haywire.
Hmm.
But if you show them how to have healthy conflict, where they can sit down, you talk about it. You're arguing and you're saying, no, babe, but this is how it is. And the other person is saying, no, this is how it is. This is how it is. And you're talking about it, and your children are looking. Then you hear kids say, my parents, then when they have conflict, they'll sit down, they'll talk it out.
Hmm.
Aha.
Hmm.
There was no verbal abuse. Aha.
Hmm.
There was no physical abuse. Aha. So if that your girl or your son finds himself in a relationship where somebody's slapping them small, say, hey, you annoyed me. That person will say, this one is not healthy. That's what you want.
Hmm. Hmm.
So again, you want to give them healthy expectations, but you don't want to give them unhealthy expectations.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So conflict, that thing you said, I've heard a lot of couples say it. And one of the things that drives into it is this, in many African marriages, there's actually not a lot of fights. But that's because, let's be honest, many of our women don't question their husbands.
Yeah.
They are submissive. That's what is
To
preached.
your
That's what is
fault.
talked about.
To
They
your
don't
fault.
question. And I talk to many of these people, and they're not happy because they cannot express themselves. So we have that in marriages. Then we are surprised that many of our mothers, when their children marry, or they actually, you see, when you're in a relationship and you spent 40 or 50 years suppressing who you are, just think about it. Every time you had a thought, every time you had an idea, every time you wanted to do something, suppress. After 50 years, all you ever did was motherhood.
Hmm.
Then we get surprised when we have mother-in-laws that want to control their sons' marriages.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Mama does not have anything to hold on to anymore.
Hmm.
You see, the only thing that mama has in her life is motherhood. Mama didn't necessarily have a career. Mama didn't necessarily, just to be an individual, to be herself. That's all she was allowed to do, to be a mother and a wife.
Wow.
So you find people where they don't have anything, so they are struggling because they want to still be a mother even when their son is married.
Hmm.
And it comes off as if mama is being wicked, but mama is just still surviving.
Wow.
So that's the conversation that we're trying to have. Conflict is really good, but we have to learn how to do it in a healthy way. in a
Yeah.
very healthy way.
Yeah, Irene wrote something. Said, but domestic violence is in the home is traumatizing for kids, and I'm very happy that you explain the issue of conflict, not domestic violence. There's a two different thing. Having a conversation, an argument. Myself and my wife too. We do. Oh, no, no, no. Why did you do that? Don't do
Yeah,
that. We have the issues, and then we find common ground to
right.
resolve it while they are
Yes,
there so that they
yes,
can learn from both ends.
that is correct. So that they
So
can go
for
out
those who are
and
watching
have
us,
conflict with their friends.
yes.
And
So for those who are watching us, when Dr. Uwa is saying about conflict, let your kids experience, what it is to have conflict between each other and then to solve it. It's not referring to domestic violence. That is a total different thing, and I won't encourage that. So you can go ahead, sir.
let me just speak on that a little bit. The goal behind conflict, or no, let me put it this way. The cause of conflict is a difference of ideas. That's conflict. Okay? So I want A and my partner wants B. So conflict is not the problem. Conflict is just information. Conflict is I can go to a MacBook store to buy an iMac that has 200 gig and they say they have only 1 gig,
Yeah.
100 gig. That's conflict. Well, am I going to fight with the guy at the store? Most likely not. I'll ask him if they're going to have 200 gig tomorrow or in a week. Or he can convince me to maybe buy the 100 gig because maybe it has a higher RAM. The point I'm trying to make is we will have a conversation about it and get to a point where we both decide what is best for both of us.
Mm,
That's conflict.
mm,
The issue with conflict is that for most people, the interpretation of someone disagreeing with them is that they feel threatened. And I'm going to give a very funny example. How many times did I enter a store in Nigeria and I look around and I don't buy anything and I'm walking out and the person will say, "So you mean you just
don't
came
buy
into this
anything.
town, made me to waste my time showing you around and not buy anything from me?" Really? That
Mm,
person felt threatened in some way. And maybe what were the thoughts? Maybe the thoughts were, I haven't sold anything today.
oh,
Maybe I have a family to feed. Maybe, I was reading something and I thought you were actually a customer that was going to buy. Whatever the thoughts are, the point is that person feels threatened.
mm,
That's why they are reacting the way they are reacting. Once we understand that dynamic, the conversation is, are we in a relationship or marriage where we are constantly feeling threatened and we are attacking each other and we are being defensive and our kids are watching? Because that's what leads to verbal and domestic abuse. Why would a man beat his wife? Because he feels hurt, because he feels attacked. Now he's trying to overpower her. Now he's trying to conquer her, to show her. And that's what a lot of people do when they feel threatened. They attack because they want to defend themselves. So when you find that that is happening in your relationship, you need to seek help.
mm,
The only time that it becomes a bad thing is when people don't seek help and they continue to perpetuate those situations where children now grow up in that environment and think that it is normal. So, abuse is as a result of two people not being able to resolve their conflicts in a healthy way. If
mm.
there's any form of abuse, I don't want to go into that. That destroys kids. It destroys them. I don't want to go into it.
Yeah,
It is
that,
very destructive.
that is amazing. Thank you so much. The next question is, with all what we've said, you know, do you even think marriage is a good idea? Will it be better, just not to just to remain single and avoid the issues? Or what do you think about this? That okay, since there's this issue, domestic violence, conflict, discovering yourself, is it better to just remain single, or do you think marriage is a good idea?
I think that, like anything in life, there's always benefits and drawbacks. And what that simply means is I'm here in Canada today. And I knew that when I was coming here, things were not going to be easy for me at first. And I thought to myself and I said, okay, you're going to come here. You might not work as a doctor for a while. Okay, I think I know what I'm going to do. I measured the benefits and the consequences for me personally. So whenever someone asks me, and this is a question I get a lot, should I get married? The question is, what do you want from marriage? The question is, should I remain single? Then the question is, why do you want to be single? Because there are so many benefits to being single. So many.
Yeah.
I am there are times when I sit down and I say, whew, I remember the day
Hmm.
when I could sleep till 10 a.m. in the morning and I did not have anybody saying, Daddy, 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 I need to eat breakfast. I'm hungry. Or somebody waking me up in the middle of the night to say they want to go and pee. I didn't have anybody that I had to be conscious of loving, to wake up every day and say, how do I love this person?
Hmm.
Single life was good. But marriage life is also good. So you have to choose. Because and you see, this is a huge conversation because many of the problems also that we have in marriage today is because some people are trying to enjoy both worlds.
Hmm.
I want to be single, but I also want to be married. So I want to get the best of both worlds. That's like saying I want to use this $500,000 that I have to build a house, but I don't want to pay for it.
Yeah,
I
yeah, you're
wish
becoming.
I wish my money can remain in my account, but I still want the house.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people want. And unfortunately, that's not how life works.
Can eat your cake and have it.
You can't eat your cake and have it. So you have to decide for yourself. But you see, again, it goes back to finding yourself because what is good for you? You don't even know. You see all the people married, it's like they're flexing life, all the Instagram pictures, you're like, oh
Hmm.
man, I can't wait. I can't wait to be single
Right.
life might be the best for you. You don't know. You don't know yet. So, you know, or maybe married life is the best for you. But you have to find yourself, know what is important for you. You have to be aware of the things that you're going to have to give up when you get married because you give up a lot of things. There are friends that I don't talk to today because I'm married. There are people that I'm not too close to anymore because I am married. Friends that were actually important to me, but I decided that marriage was for me.
Hmm.
When you're single, there are things also that you can look. It's all about what you need. But again, you can see why it's important for you to find yourself in that therapeutic space so that you can find what's good for you. Because marriage has some amazing benefits,
Hmm.
and singleness has some amazing benefits. I'll give you an example. I've talked about the example of single. I can talk about an example of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I came into this country, I wanted to write some exams. I went to the bank and I said, I need a loan. Bank said, we're going to give you this certain amount. They gave me a certain amount. But I needed far more than that, like maybe times three of that amount. Well, I couldn't use the money, so I just took it and I kept it. Line of credit. But you see, I'm married. And my wife, both of us, we have one financial account. So while I was building my credit, because our names are on all the credit cards, her credit was also going up. Would you believe that there was one day I just logged into her account and the bank out of nowhere offered her times four of the amount that they gave to me at half of the interest?
Wow.
She didn't ask for it. And you know what I did? I clicked accept
Sharp, sharp.
sharply. So that my line of credit, I've never used it. The interest is ridiculous because obviously I went to ask and they were trying to take advantage of me.
Hmm.
But you know what? That same bank gave me times four of that money, but they gave me through my wife.
Hmm.
So you see, when you have that union and you take advantage of it, there's so many benefits that come with it that you can take advantage of, but you have to be doing it right.
Hmm.
You actually have to be a team. in order for you to get the benefits.
Hmm.
But we have many people today, they are married in name, but they are not married in relationship.
Yeah.
So they are essentially not really getting the benefits.
Marriage of convenience.
Marriage of convenience. That's
Hmm.
right. I hope that
So,
answers the question.
yeah, still on this issue of whether I should get married or not. In an African context or like, yeah, African context, basically there's this is also like a preconceived notion that, oh, hey, you are getting old. For the ladies especially, you are getting old. And like you said, you have the right to choose to be single or to be married. It's your choice. There's nothing absolutely wrong if you choose to be a single all your life, or you want to be
Right.
married all your life. It is what
Right.
you want.
Right.
But this idea that, okay, I don't want to marry, I don't get married, and if you're a guy, they'll think maybe something is wrong with you, that you don't like ladies or you like men, or if you are a woman, they will be thinking, maybe there's something wrong, or maybe, and then issue of spirituality start coming in. Let's be praying, they start giving your name to this man or to that
Right.
man, or they start asking you a question. Hey, what is the problem? What is that?
Right.
So, how do we address such issues? How do we get parents to come to terms with this understanding that it's a matter of choice and not by force?
Look, I'll be honest with you. I've given up on my parents. You see, you have to understand that the years of implicit and explicit learning, my parents, both of them, they are over 60. 60 years of conditioning.
Hmm.
60 years of conditioning. Do you even think I have enough time to change it?
In your lifetime, I don't know. If you add 60 to your lifetime, how old are you? Methuselah.
Yeah, do you understand? So I think that finding yourself actually makes you comfortable with being okay when people don't agree with you. Because when you find yourself, what happens is you realize how unique you are. And that's why sometimes when I put some things online, people disagree with me. I respect it. People say, oh, you don't fight in the comments, you're so respectful. It's not that. It's just that I recognize that people are different from me. When you recognize how unique you are, you would understand that people are different from you, and you would just be okay with people disagreeing with you. Could you imagine me fighting with somebody that says I like MacBook Pro, or I like, you understand? Like if I like to use
Yeah.
Android, I'll now be fighting with somebody that likes iPhone. Why you be using iPhone? Oh, you like iPhone? Oh, that's amazing. I have always liked Android. That's for me. That's what's been working for me. Why do we have to fight about that?
Hmm.
So you really have to be comfortable with who you are. But again, we talked about this. We define ourselves by the way people see us because we have not learned to see ourselves.
Hmm.
So when somebody says you are bad, you automatically think you're bad. But what if somebody said you're bad and you actually knew you were good? And I'll give you an example of that. If I came to you today, Larry, and I told everybody, I said, Larry has two boobs,
Hmm.
breasts. Larry has. People have not seen Larry's breast. If you hear that gist, what will you do?
Can see me, oh.
What will you do? You will
See me,
laugh.
oh.
You say, someone said I had breast. You will laugh it off because to you it's like, what kind of ridiculous accusation is that?
Claims.
Claim. But what if I said, Larry is selfish, he did me wickedness? Then all of a sudden now you're wondering how these people know
Wow.
that I wasn't wicked. This guy is spoiling my name. What will people
Hmm.
think about? You're wondering because you see yourself through the eyes of those people.
Yeah.
So that's why it's really important when you see yourself through your own eyes, when people say things about you, when people want to, you just be like, nah, it's okay. It's fine. So again, to answer that question, it's just to say that we have to understand that our parents have their conditioning. Society has its conditioning. And if you're going to go against that grain, you're going to have people who are going to criticize you and look at you and say, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? So that's why you have to be really confident in what you're doing. And again, it goes back to finding yourself because when you do, you realize that people's words don't really matter that much, to be honest.
Hmm.
They are,
Hmm.
they are, they are saying what they're saying based on their experience, based on who they are, based on their conditioning. Sometimes you just look at people, you be compassionate, you just be like, It's fine, really. Even so, that's why I said I've given up on my parents, because sometimes they'll say some things. I'll just be like, me and my mom, she'll tell me things those days, and I'll tell her, "Oh, I was talking about it with my wife." She say, "What I told you, you told your wife?" I say, "Yeah, mommy, we are
That is
one. Like
another question.
that's what marriage
It's
means. We are
about.
one." And she said, "How can I tell you something about my family? No, that's my family business." I said, "No, but you told me."
We.
So she said, "You know what? I'm not gonna tell you my." I said, "Mommy, I respect that. That's a good decision for you." So sometimes now when she calls me, she'll be like, "Ah, so sister, don't worry about it. I understand.
Hmm,
I'm not offended, because I'm not gonna let you tell me anything that you want me to be keeping from my wife, because I don't want to do that." But
hmm,
guess what? A couple of years later, she called me and said, "You know what? I respect you. I like the way you're treating your wife." And when she said that to me, I knew that she meant I would have liked it if my husband treated me that way.
hmm,
So again, this is why you have to be confident in what you're doing, so that another person does not come and put their own expectations on you. They don't come and put their own conditioning on you, because
hmm.
you believe in what you are doing and you know why you are doing it.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Still on the Global Talkative series, where we hang out, inspire, and encourage one another. And I'm sure you guys have had an amazing time today. But you know what? We've got just less than 3 minutes more, and we're going to end today, you know. And Dr. Sam is going to come back, I can guarantee you he's giving his word, to the whole world that is coming back. And we're going to find a time in August, early August, for him to come back, because there are a lot of questions that they still have, sent in. Some of the questions, I'm going to read the questions just to let you know that we've got some major, major deep-rooted issues. Questions like, what are the common issues you have noticed in marriage of today? And why is it happening? Do you even think marriage is a good idea? We've dealt with that. And let's talk about marriage building and transformation. What can we do to have a stress-free and blissful marriage? Then question about joint account with your partner. Questions around validation from men and the society. Question
Mm,
about open marriage versus entanglement. Case in point, Jada
right.
Pinkett and Will Smith. There's a question
Tango.
like that. There is a question around what are the key lessons you would like to share with men from your years as a therapist counselor, and also what are the key lessons you would like to share with the women from your years as a therapist. Men versus women, entanglement, validation, therapy. We have loads of questions. I want to encourage you guys. We're supposed to have do 1 hour, but we done 2 hours today. So we allow Dr. Sam to go rest, and then tell your friends, your neighbor, we're gonna have a time in August, early August, for Dr. Sam to come back, and we'll continue on this same topic, demystifying the taboo around family and mental counseling, coaching, and therapy. And you don't want to miss it for anything in this world, because matters of the heart truly, truly, truly matters. And Dr. Sam, what closing word do you have for us before we end today's chat?
I I just like to remind people that we are human beings. One of the major reasons why I always want people to find themselves is because many of us define ourselves by our roles, and that really breaks my heart. If you define yourself by being a mom, then anytime you fail at that role, you begin to feel guilty, you begin to feel brokenhearted. If you define yourself by being a father, then maybe you scream at your son, or you just do something that you think you shouldn't have done, then you begin to feel guilty. But what you are is human, and what human beings do is human beings fail.
Hmm,
But the positive thing is that human beings learn.
hmm,
And if you always remember that when you fail as a father, did you learn from it? When you fail as a husband, did you learn from it? When you fail as a wife, as a mother, as a cook, as a professional, did you learn from it? If you did, then you're human.
hmm,
You're living life. So always remember that. And always remember that once you begin to look at yourself as a human being, then you begin to see the human in others. Then
hmm.
it will make you more compassionate. When if you're somebody who makes, the other day my son was asking me, he said, "Dad, do you cry?" You know, he said, "Do you cry?" And I said, "Why did you ask me that?" He said, "Do adults cry?" Yeah, that was what he said. "Do adults cry?" And I said, "Yes, adults cry. I cry." And he said, "What makes you cry?" I said, "Maybe
Hmm,
sometimes if I'm disappointed, maybe sometimes, if I'm sad, maybe sometimes if I'm hurt or if I'm feeling pain." And you know what he said to me? He said, "That's why I cry too."
Wow.
And
Wow.
I don't know. It was profound because it was like that's a little human.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So let's always just remember that we're human. You know, it's the most important thing.
Thank you very much. We're signing out on the Global Talkative series, and watch out for part two of this special edition on my YouTube channel, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm Lanre Ajayi. Bye for now, and have a wonderful day, guys. Watch
Bye,
out. Part two is
guys.
coming soon.